Do you still feel you are dull? Do you still feel you are unprofitable? Do you still feel you are a dwarf? Many of these names doesn't go away in our minds. And sometimes they form a niche. You see, if you take a rope and tie a horse to this tree, and you do that consistently for months, even when you put the rope around the horse and refuse to tie it to the tree, the horse still won't leave. Because the object that is now holding it down, it's the mind. Sometimes you have left the abusive past, but you are still tied there. You've left. You are no longer around the wicked auntie, the abusive father, the wicked stepmother. And there is a misconception that people have. Now, when we talk about dysfunctional background, it has only to do with those who are from broken homes. There are homes where fathers and mothers are together that is more dysfunctional than a broken home. There are single, and I say this with all sense of responsibility to the church, that there are single mothers and single fathers who are better off with their children there than to raise the child around that fool. The devil has used fear to keep people in places where they died, and the children are left to wonder. One of the prayers I've been praying for you is that God will keep you alive for your kids. Amen. Maybe you didn't like the prayer. You know, one time, yesterday night, I just jokingly asked my wife, and I just said, who is going to sit with me to interview me for stories? I've listened to many experiences that I've cried with people I interview. And I said to my wife that even the most gory one can be fitted into 1 month of my experience. And sometimes you carry these things and you just see, you see, some of us have fought through life to be able to deliver life from death. Because when the devil handled your childhood, he wanted to kill you there because he's afraid of what you can become. So all the attempts, all the effort, all the things done were to make sure that this one doesn't come out. Do everything possible to silence, break, destroy, and make sure this one doesn't rise. Kill the might in him or her. Sometimes that's the battle strategy around your childhood that you've got to understand. So you cannot cooperate with the devil to kill you at the time he wants to kill you. You've got to keep bouncing back. The abuse, the hatred, the insult, the lack, the depravity, they are all part of an wholesome strategy to make sure you don't come out. The father you had who beat your mother and cheat on her, or the one who never looked back, is more of an attack on you than just that home. It is attack by proxy. And if I can't face an arrow towards you, let me face it on an institution that you belong to. So when I kill that institution, you die in it. You've got to understand that the devil wants to weaken your foundation, and many of you, you are still battling with the past. You see, when a child is exposed to pain, the body will go on to grow, but the child is still trapped in the old body. It can be so bad that you can desire that there are meetings that need to hold so you can explain what happened 20 years ago. It can be so bad that you can desire that there are individuals who need to come back from the dead so you can talk to them to their faces that what you think about me is really not true. It can be so bad that you need justice about matters of many decades. You know why? Because you are still trapped. Now they look at you and say, see how much you've grown. But in-depthly, you are still there. My earnest prayer is that this morning, God will bring you out. I didn't hear amen to that. It will bring you out. And it will heal all that needs to be healed. Money doesn't take away childhood trauma. It doesn't. More friends doesn't take it away. More degrees doesn't take it away. More women doesn't take it away. More men doesn't take it away. Enjoying nice vacations doesn't take it away. There is the healer, the one who can go to our past and restore the years that the locusts and the cankerworms have eaten. There is a void in the heart of a man that only God can heal. Because if you are not careful, many of the things you now begin to do and pursue will be an attempt to fill in the void of the old days. You can marry someone to silence the abusers of your past. And you can stay in an abusive marriage because they said, we know it will not work. And then you now rather die there than to walk out, even when you know you are dying. And by walk out, I mean separate for a while and let there be repair. And there are cases that we have seen that this person doesn't have what it takes to fulfill God's plan in this person's life. What do we do? You can pursue a degree, you can pursue degrees just to answer the questions of your past. You want to ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? There might be insults that have been hanging in your mind, things that they said, we know you can't do. We know you can't amount to anything. We know you can't become anything. We know you can't get a degree. We know you are not smart. We know you can't stay with a husband. We know you can't stay with a wife. And you abandon your direction to prove them wrong. You are still trapped in your childhood mind. There are people who are afraid of going to school to add more degrees because of what the secondary school teacher said. There are people who believe they are not intelligent because of what even their parent said. Have you seen the case of parents who compare children with each other? You are not as smart as your sister. You are not as smart as your brother. Look at you. What are you good for? You don't bring me joy. This is my hope of tomorrow. This is the one where I'm going to look up to. I will not expect anything from you or think, who speaks as though they are God? And sometimes parents look at their children and make them eternal enemies. You compare them with every opportunity you have. Some will even call their children Esau and Jacob. There are parents who go on to tell their children, you are a mistake. There are parents who perceive the children as the reward for their mistakes. They see the child as a possibility that ought not to be. Never you think that you cannot have a dysfunctional experience around your own blood. There are mothers who hate their children with perfect hatred. And there are fathers who do the same. And you wonder, why? Sometimes maybe the child reminds them of what they ought to be that they can never be. And they express frustration on the child. And the devil is using them successfully to kill something about the child. It's an attack on your mind, on your emotions, on your perception of reality, of people, of life. Sometimes the attack can be so much you decide, I will never get married. Sometimes you can decide, I will never marry from my village. I will never marry from my place. Sometimes you are right, sometimes you are wrong.